5, Rich.
Just tell them go.
Start talking, Rich. We're live.
Okay. Welcome to Seattle Sports Union Live. I am Rich Michelson, coming to you over a hot microphone. With me, as ever, is my best bud Abe Deweese. How you doing today, Abe?
Doing great.
All right. Well, we of course are from Seattle Sports Union. Our website, seattlesportsunion.com. You can check us out on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. We are going to talk all of the Northwest. We're a Seattle focused college football review show, and we're going to start with the Washington State Cougars. We're going to move on to the Huskies, and we're going to hit some of the other top national and Pac-12 stories. But to start things off, Abe, Washington State goes on the road. Yep, Washington State Cougars goes on the road and goes to Oregon. And let's talk about that game, Abe. What did you think?
Well, first thing I want to talk about is their defense. I'm wearing all Husky gear. I get that. I understand that. And you might think this right here is one hater, but I'm not a hater. When I take a look at the Wazoo defense, and yeah, I'm going to keep calling Wazoo even though you told me not to. They're Wazoo, Washington State University. Their defense is amazing. I mean, this was an Oregon football team, an Oregon Duck team that historically puts up yards, puts up points, and you take a look at their scoring offense, 43 points per game, and the Cougars go out there and win 33-10. They held the number one Pac-12 scoring offense to 10 points. I don't care if there is no Justin Herbert, whatever that quarterback's name is from Oregon. I don't care if Royce Clayton was running on a bum ankle or bum knee. It's a pretty impressive importance to stop that offense and hold them to a meager 10 points.
I was going to say this is probably the best defensive effort that Washington State has had against Oregon, going back to the pre-Dennis Dixon era, when Oregon rolled out this spread option craziness with the multiple motions, with the running the ball down everyone's throat. And this is $100 million from Phil Knight later, and Washington State. What really impressed me, Abe, they went on the road. And they didn't just hold them to 10 points, but they didn't look scared. They didn't look like they were in awe of Autzen Stadium. They didn't look like they were scared of the Ducks. I mean, this is a team, the Ducks, that dominated the Pac-12 basically, between them and USC for the better part of 15 years. And certainly the last 8 years, they've been the dominant force in the Pac-12 until this last year.
And what do we see, Rich? We saw a safety, Hunter Dale, and he went running around like his hair was on fire, had 10 total tackles, had a forced fumble and 2 sacks. That pressure that they put onto that Oregon offense was overwhelming, and the results spoke for themselves in that final score.
You know what I want to know, Abe? This is a team that is coached by the Pirate.
That's
Mike
right.
Leach. He's all about offense. He's going to throw the ball 65 times a game. He is not going to run the ball. He's going to do what he does. He's going to do what he did at Texas Tech. What the crap? How did they get such a great defense put together? I'm just amazed.
Simply what happens is you just switch out defensive coordinators. I'm trying to remember who their new defensive coordinator is now, but he takes the players that he has. They're all 3-star or 2-star players. I was talking about Hunter Dale. I'm almost talking about Hercules on the offensive on the defensive line. These are guys that do not have the pedigree that you might expect, and he makes the best use of them.
Moving on to the other part of the game, the Oregon, Oregon stymied Washington State for a good while. Are you concerned? Is this a problem with the Washington State offense?
No, actually, it's not. It's not a problem with their offense at all. What you're looking at is a new Oregon Ducks defensive coordinator. Hey, I just keep talking about new defensive coordinators, and they found a way to stymie the Wazoo offensive line and get through. They broke through quite often and rattled Luke Falk. And even though Luke Falk got beat up, He still threw for 3 touchdowns, and he still threw for, I believe, his 268 yards. This was the best effort that Oregon's going to put out on defense all year. It's the best
Mhm.
that they're going to do all year, and it still wasn't good enough to stop 33 points.
You know what I say? I say all road wins are good, and it doesn't matter how good you look on the road normally, especially if you're Washington State. Washington State would have taken a 13-10 win out of Autzen Stadium
Oh, yeah.
and been pleased as punch.
Yep.
So 33-10, whoo-hoo, this was a statement win. Washington State threw down the gauntlet to the rest of the Pac-12 and said, "We are here. We've beaten USC, who's supposedly the big dogs in the conference. And instead of come and get us, we're going to come and get you."
Right.
Basically, I think they came to to play. Now, you seem to have a bit of news or some talk about something about credentials and
I do.
Wazoo.
For
What's wrong with that?
all of our fans out there, congratulations to the Seattle Sports Union, and all of the credit goes to one Brian Solak, who acquired for us media credentials to the all Washington State games, and we will be heading over there October 21st to Pullman, Washington, to watch those Washington State Cougars take on the Colorado Buffaloes. And I'm really excited about this. This is our first D1 experience. We have had great fun and great times at Eastern Washington football.
Mhm.
And all due respect to them, we have moved up another level, and it's only a matter of time before we're at Husky Stadium. It's only a matter of time before we're at CenturyLink Stadium. Check us out for our coverage of Washington State football at Pullman and Martin Stadium against those Colorado Buffaloes, October 21st.
Okay. Well, I do have one last question, just on topic with Washington State. How real are they? How real are
They
they?
are very real. You're talking about a team. Uh, it may not have the talent base that some of the other teams out there have, like USC. But what did they do when USC came up to them? They smacked them down. What did they do when Oregon, who might have better talent, probably do, they
Mhm.
laid the smackdown again. Boise State, they went to the Smurf turf and settled the score with them against a team that probably has equivalent talent.
Mhm.
They're not afraid of anybody. And that Pirate, he has set sail for the new land. And that new land are a bunch of wins and a top 10 ranking.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about Apple Cup at the end of our show, but to our viewers out there, that's a teaser that's coming up, and I think there's going to be some purple and crimson blood on the show floor here when we're done with it. But moving on to the other half of the Apple Cup, Washington, University of Washington, beat the Cal Bears pretty handily, 38-7. And I got to watch this game. I was waiting for it all night. I had to take have 3 or 4 caffeinated beverages to stay up as late as it was with an 8 where I'm at. I'm in Salt Lake. It was 8:45 kickoff, 7:45 Pacific. Abe, well, let's talk about this Huskies defense to start things off.
Well,
93 total yards.
Yeah, 93 total yards. Oh, yes. We're talking about a defense that has now entered purple rain territory. You're talking about a defense that utterly stopped in their tracks. An offense that is led by offensive coordinator Bo Baldwin, the leader of the Eastern Washington football offensive juggernaut. They
Mhm.
stopped his offense with just 93 yards, like he said. They could not run the ball. They had negative 40 yards rushing. They couldn't pass the ball. They were sacked 7 times. They were stopped in the backfield 10 times, tackles for losses. I mean, they just couldn't get out of their way. And it reminded me of the early 90s in that Purple Rain defense when you had Steve Entman, Chico Fraley, Dave Hoffman, and all those guys loosing havoc and letting the war. Wait, what is it called? Cry
Cry havoc and let
havoc.
loose the dogs of war.
Thank you. You beat me to the punch on that one.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I'm trying to say is like this is an historic defense. Get excited. Get excited now.
Okay. I am super excited. You know what else I'm really, really excited about?
Hmm.
The wide receiver core. One, Dante Pettis sitting on history for the most punt return touchdowns. That did not happen. But what did happen was a coming out party for his compatriot in the receiver core, Hunter Bryant. Is he a wide receiver? Is he a tight end? Is he a flex player? Who knows? Let's talk Hunter Bryant.
Hunter Bryant, he went for uh, he had a touchdown, and I believe he had 6 catches in over 120 yards. We
Yep.
saw Austin Pettis get the bulk of the catches. He had 10 catches and I believe 13 targets, but it was Hunter Bryant that came up big. While Austin Pettis not Austin Pettis, here I go again. Dante Pettis got the dink and the dunks. It was Hunter Bryant, the freshman, making big play after big play, and that is what's needed. If this Husky team is to advance, they need someone to replace John Ross from last year, and it just may be that freshman Hunter.
Yep, Hunter Bryant was big. I loved his touchdown catch going up, just going straight. It seemed like he was on a pogo stick, man. I love it. I got to say this, Pete. Coach Peterson, his offenses, if anything, they are efficient. They are balanced. They run inside. They run outside. They switch up formations. They keep you on your toes. I have really no complaints about the offense here. Defense, obviously, I mean, we're talking historic here. But you know what I do have an issue with?
Hmm.
I have an issue with the people that are supposed to be the Pac-12 and Huskies broadcast partners taking pot shots at them on the national broadcast.
Yeah, this is kind of weird.
You might have an opinion on this.
I have a lot of opinions on this. This is really weird, Rich. I don't get it. Earlier yesterday, Saturday morning, Kirk Herbstreit, who usually is pro Pac-12, he's one of the few guys at ESPN that gives us any credit. Calls us out. He says that we don't play a good schedule, and that we should be lucky just to be on television. That we should be grateful that the almighty and the all-powerful ESPN lets us be seen on their mighty network. It's weird. It's pathetic. It's crazy. I mean, they seem to think of Chris Peterson as a kook. He's some old crazy guy from the Pacific Northwest, probably, hunts Sasquatches in his bare time, in his free time, or punches bears in his free time. I don't know. It's crazy that they did that, and it's crazier on the game, on TV. They're showing us little cupcakes going across the screen because they're mocking the Huskies. I don't get what they got against. I don't get what they have against us. And I realize Chris Peterson spoke up, but isn't that what we want coaches to do? Is to speak up, and he's defending the fans in the college. Why does ESPN care? I don't get it.
I'm really puzzled about it as well. This is a company that broadcasts or produces the SEC network. They're the broadcast partner for the SEC. There is no more cupcake non-conference scheduled conference out there than the SEC as a whole. It was notable at the beginning of the season that Alabama opened up with that. I'm spacing on who their first game was, but it was a big, big game. It was
Florida State.
Yeah, Florida State. It was Florida State. Yeah, I mean that was a big, significant game by the best team in the SEC, but it's an exception rather than the rule. These are teams in the SEC that normally open up against Grambling or Troy or Directional State Teachers College. The SEC's non-conference scheduling is pathetic, and I get that the SEC is tough and hard and everything else, but we play who we play, and I mean,
it's on the schedule.
Yeah, you play who's on your schedule, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it, especially with most games being scheduled 6, 7, 8 years out.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really our fault that Auburn bailed on us and forced us to renegotiate for instead of a home and home, we went with a neutral site game next year. I mean, these things
Right.
happen. I'm not going to blame them. Wisconsin bailed on us 2 years ago,
Yeah.
but we thought Rutgers was going to be a good team when we scheduled them, so it didn't seem like
Yeah.
a big deal. I realize I'm cutting into the time that we have for the other games. I just want to bring this up. I
hmm
miss 1 o'clock football games in
hmm
Seattle in October, November. You
Yeah.
have to play the games at 1. I don't want to sit there at 8 o'clock at night in the driving rain because I
Yep.
have tickets against UCLA, and I don't want to sit there in the rain, freezing to death in the 300 level.
Yeah. I was going to say that I get with the new broadcast partnership that you have flexible scheduling. You want to get as many games on TV. I get that. I think that each team should have like one game a month, guaranteed 1 o'clock kickoff or 2 o'clock kickoff, somewhere in there. Put it on the Pac-12 network or arrange it with the broadcast partners. Just say, look, these are your early games. The rest of them are probably going to be late, and you're just going to have to deal with it. Something along those lines. No one likes going to a game when the weather is terrible, and I'm sure people in Tempe and down in Tucson don't want to go to games at 1 o'clock either. They'd like to go to evening. They want to have evening games. Us in the Northwest, we probably want to have afternoon games.
Yep. Well, and it's ridiculous that they don't they don't have the time set for people who travel from Alaska, from Eastern
hmm
Washington, from wherever they live. Um, it really screws with how a person plans their vacation to Seattle, and
hmm
that's horrible. Let's say that Washington has to play all night games the entire season. Um,
Right.
why not forget flexing games? Why not just say, here's your game scheduled. Look,
hmm
we're y- you're stuck with these hours, but at least you can adjust accordingly. Your fans
Right.
can change their plans or make their plans accordingly, rather than uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I totally agree with you. We need to have. I mean, I get there needs to be some element of flexibility. That's just the kind of the reality of the business. But there should be some a significant amount of afternoon games. Um, the other reason is that a 1 o'clock kickoff on the West Coast is a 4 o'clock kickoff on the East Coast, and we might actually get an East Coast writer or two paying some kind of attention before they go out to dinner that night.
Well, think about it. This is what screwed Christian McCaffrey out of a Heisman. This is what's you know right.
All
I
right.
mean,
So we're going to move on to some other games. Just I'm going to highlight that just of note, Stanford did beat Utah 23-20. Let's move on. Your take on Oklahoma losing to Iowa State?
oh wait, I did want to say something about Stanford, Utah.
Sure.
I
Okay,
want to
go ahead.
get I want to give ups to Troy Williams, going 20 of 39, getting 238 yards. He's a former UW quarterback. Um, he wasn't the starter at the beginning of the season, but he's been doing a good job. But I mean, basically, it's Bryce Love of Stanford has got this Heisman locked, in my opinion. He went
Wow.
he went 152 yards, a TD, and he has now 1,240 yards, Rich, and 9 TDs. Yeah, are you saying wow? You're just going to poo-poo
Yeah.
those numbers?
No. Like I'm a wowing that you're locking up the Heisman after 6 games.
Yeah.
Um, and wowing at his stats. His stats are mind blowing. Those are NCAA football stats from EA Sports when they still made that video
Yeah,
game.
they're PlayStation numbers. Yeah.
Their PlayStation numbers, absolutely. Okay, so back to Oklahoma State versus Iowa State.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to jump in here. Pathetic on Oklahoma's part. Pathetic. You lose to Iowa State. I don't care the circumstances. You lose to Iowa State. It's pathetic.
Well, I think Baker Mayfield lost the Heisman in this game, as much as Bryce Love won the Heisman in his game. Yeah, the Oklahoma's 14-game winning streak is now done. Their 18-game winning streak against Iowa State is done, and they've been finally sought out. Or now we can see them for the frauds that they are. I did not think that this was the number 3 team in the country. And I thought that was really ridiculous based off of their offensive production. Offensive production, great. Not good enough to beat Iowa State, though. And they have no defense. It's typical Big 12 stuff. No defense.
Yeah. I was going to say that, I got to agree with you. Okay, we're moving on to the Big Ten, the big rivalry game up in Michigan. Michigan State 14, Michigan 10. Hail Mary fails the last play. Did you watch this game, Abe?
Yeah, I caught the second half of it, and it's pretty evident. The Hail Mary. We can throw that out there, but I want to talk about Wilton Speet is his name. He's a quarterback that was injured, and I wouldn't call him like a great like player right now, but he's a very intelligent game manager. And when they went to that backup for this game, what was his name? O'Korn. This guy is not good. He's obviously not ready. He's too young. And Speet is basically the Wolverines team, and he just without him, that whole offense fell into shambles. And let's not forget that Michigan State always puts out good defense. I mean, D'Antonio does that all the time, doesn't he?
This is the rivalry for Michigan State. Forget the fake rivalry they have with Penn State that was manufactured by the Big Ten 20 years ago when Penn State came into the conference. This is Michigan State's Apple Cup. This is their holy war. This is their whatever you want to call it, the big game, and they care about it more than Michigan does. Michigan got what they deserved. You had a subpar performance. I don't care if you have a backup quarterback in there. Just unacceptable. All right, Apple Cup. Abe, this is your lightning round, Abe.
Mm-hmm.
Apple Cup. Who wins it? Where's your predictions here? Six weeks out.
Apple Cup. I have UW winning it in a track meet.
Ooh.
Yeah. I know everybody's going to say, what did we think? We just were talking about how great these defenses are. So what I do in mind is I think, what's the complete opposite that's going to happen? Because usually my predictions, that's the way that occurs. So I'm going to say maybe something like a 33-38 track meet where UW wins it. I think part of the issue will be like turnovers. Both of these defenses are great at generating turnovers, so you'll get a lot of offenses in the red zone, and it should be exciting. And I'm going to be there.
Nice. I was going to say my prediction is that Dante Pettis gets a punt return for a touchdown against Washington State in the key moment of the game
and breaks that record. Yes.
All right. Do you have any other thoughts on college football?
Yes. Eastern Washington Eagles beat UC Davis Aggies. Their Eastern is now 4-2, and they are undefeated in the Big Sky, so they're still in it. Go Eastern.
All right. We always love Eastern Washington University as well as Washington State University, the two universities, in my opinion, that have the two best logos in college sports.
They do.
Anyway, I am Rich Michelson, and I say go Dogs, and I also say go to Seattle Sports Union. That's the name right up there. Check us out at seattlesportsunion.com. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and check us out at the game because we'll be there. For Abe DeWeese, again, I'm Rich Michelson signing off. Thanks for watching SSU Live's coverage of college football.
Have a good night.